that sudden slip,
Yeah.
that weightless moment in the dark. It's the falling dream. I bet that feeling is familiar.
Oh, absolutely.
One minute you're sort of suspended, and the next, this sense of descent just takes over.
Yeah.
Could be an elevator just plummeting, or maybe a cliff edge crumbling, or even that feeling, when you think you're flying and it suddenly turns downwards.
It's such a remarkably common sensation, isn't it? This journey into, well, gravity while we're asleep.
Huh.
You're held for a moment, maybe even feel that lightness, and then it just yields.
Right.
And the details, they paint such different pictures, like you said. A dissolving bridge, a sudden lack of support, but the core feeling that resonates so widely.
Exactly. So today we're really diving deep into what might be happening there. Is it just a physical thing, a twitch as we fall
Or
asleep?
there's some more.
Yeah, or does it tap into something much, much deeper about our inner world, our fears, our hopes?
That's the big question, really. Is it just a physiological blip, or is it maybe the unconscious trying to communicate something? About things we're navigating, anxieties that linger.
Think about that feeling, that loss of control.
Uh-huh.
In our waking lives, we spend so much energy building things up. Structure, stability, careers, relationships, routines.
Our sense of solid ground.
Exactly. And then in the dream, poof, those supports just vanish.
It's like the very foundations dissolve, and you're left vulnerable.
Yeah, that vulnerability, that lack of control in the dream state. Could that be mirroring times when we feel, well, adrift in real life? When the ground feels shaky?
I think that's often spot on. Think about those moments, those curveballs life throws. That feeling of free fall in the dream. It might just be the emotional echo of that, a reflection of feeling unmoored, losing your footing.
So the dissolving structures aren't random. They directly connect to feeling unstable, vulnerable in life.
Precisely. It's a powerful metaphor.
And it's not just falling, it's how long it feels like you're falling. Time stretches, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Seconds feel like, well, ages.
Enough time for this whole rush of thoughts and feelings to just flood in. It's almost like the dream slows things down intentionally.
Well, what's fascinating there is how that stretched time might create a space, a container for processing feelings we don't fully deal with when we're awake.
Oh, okay.
So a quick fall becomes this vessel for anxieties, half-forgotten worries, maybe even glimpses of memories that carry emotional weight. The dream elongates it to give us room to feel.
And the scenery changes too, right? You might start falling through soft clouds, something comforting, and then suddenly you're plunging into total darkness. That can't be random either.
No, not at all. That shifting landscape is deeply symbolic. Clouds, maybe representing a past comfort or security,
Right?
then descending into darkness. That could be about confronting the unknown, our deeper fears, maybe parts of ourselves we keep hidden.
So the environment reflects our inner emotional state changing.
Exactly. Each shift mirrors a transition within us.
One of the most frustrating things, though, is often knowing it's a dream,
Yes.
but you can't wake up. You're stuck in the fall.
That inability to escape, even when you're aware, that's really telling, isn't it? It suggests the falling itself is the point. It embodies that deep anxiety, maybe, or that feeling of being trapped by something in your waking life. You see the problem, but you're still falling.
And physically, even though you're asleep, maybe paralyzed, you feel it. Heart racing, muscles tense.
Yeah, the body reacts. Even in sleep paralysis, the dream's emotional power triggers a physical response. Your nervous system is reacting to a perceived threat. It's the body echoing the mind's distress.
Sometimes, too, these little flashes of memory pop up while you're falling. Like a look of disappointment on someone's face, or a moment of betrayal. They feel so disconnected.
But they're probably not. They often resonate with the core theme of the fall. That disapproving glance might connect to a deep fear of judgment, The betrayal memory could underscore that feeling of lost support, lost trust. The fall sort of highlights these past emotional wounds.
So those memory flashes aren't random noise. They're like clues,
Yeah.
pointing to feelings of inadequacy or lost trust. The fall ties these old threads together.
Precisely. They're significant breadcrumbs.
But here's a weird thing sometimes. Even with the fear, there's this strange beauty. The air, the colors. It's a paradox.
That mix of terror and beauty is really interesting. It suggests that maybe it's through facing discomfort, even pain, that we gain clarity. Like the fear sharpens our perception, highlights the delicate beauty of things, perhaps.
And that constant thought, am I going to hit bottom? That really makes you think about endings in real life, doesn't it? Things you worry about finishing.
Oh, absolutely. That anticipation of impact in the dream often mirrors our real-world anxieties about conclusions.
Like what?
The end of a relationship, finishing a career, or even, deeper concerns about mortality itself. The fall isn't just about falling, it's about facing what we think awaits at the end.
It feels so primal, this fear of falling, like it's baked into us somehow.
Well, if you think evolutionarily, it makes sense. A fear of falling is protective, right?
Yeah. Keeps you away from edges.
For our ancestors, falling was a real danger. So that deep aversion to losing secure footing, it probably still resonates in our subconscious, bubbling up in dreams.
And as you fall, your own sense of self can feel like it's dissolving.
Yeah.
Up, down, they don't mean much. You're just descending.
That blurring of orientation, that loss of definition, it can mirror a deeper psychological process, letting go of labels, of our usual identities.
Dirt to the bear, kind of.
Exactly. Who are we without those anchors? The fall can be disorienting, sure, but maybe revealing too, forcing us to confront something more fundamental about ourselves.
What about when there are other people in the dream? Falling with you, or maybe trying to help?
Ah, yes. Those other figures often represent different parts of your own psyche.
Really?
Yeah. Someone trying to catch you might be your inner strength or a supportive aspect. Another figure might symbolize, internal conflicts, self-sabotage. Observing them can give clues about your inner dynamics.
And the temperature. I've noticed that sometimes. It can shift from feeling warm, secure, to suddenly cold.
That change can definitely parallel transitions in life, moving from comfort and safety to feeling vulnerable, exposed. Think about times you felt emotionally chilled or unprotected. The dream might just be reflecting that physical sensation tied to the emotion.
And the ground, when you finally see it. Sometimes it's solid rock, other times it's water, or maybe something totally abstract. Does that matter?
Oh, hugely. The nature of the landing spot gives big clues about your psychological state and how you view endings.
How so?
Well, a hard, unyielding surface might suggest a fear of consequences, maybe resistance to change. Water often symbolizes emotions, the unconscious, maybe release.
An abstract.
An abstract landing could point towards a more internal, psychological kind of resolution, maybe less tied to external outcomes. It really invites you to think, how do you usually land in these dreams?
Interesting. Even breathing can change, right? Like rapid, shallow breaths if you're terrified, or sometimes oddly calm.
Yes, the breath pattern directly mirrors the emotion. Mechanic often means quick, shallow breaths. A slow, deep breath might suggest some level of acceptance or even surrender. The body speaks the dream's language.
And you don't always fall straight down, do you? Sometimes it's a spiral where you zigzag.
Right. Those trajectories can reflect your internal psychological patterns. A spiral might suggest, say, repetitive thoughts or a cyclical issue.
Yeah.
A straight line could mean a more direct confrontation, erratic movements, maybe inner turmoil or indecision.
What about objects you see floating by as you fall?
Pay attention to those. They aren't just background noise. They can represent parts of your personality, current challenges, or even resources you're overlooking. Each object can carry personal symbolic weight.
And sounds. The wind rushing, creaking noises, maybe voices.
Absolutely. Sounds add another layer. Wind might be about change or time passing. Creaking could suggest instability. Voice is their tone. What they say can reveal emotional echoes or past conditioning.
And the light and shadow during the fall. Sometimes it's really dramatic.
That interplay often reflects your relationship with truth versus deception, what's known versus hidden, both outside and inside yourself. It's like a visual metaphor for awareness.
I've even had dreams where my clothes act weirdly, like they loosen or flutter off.
Ah, the symbolic undressing. That often represents stripping away outer layers, roles, defenses, the persona you present. As they fall away, a more vulnerable, authentic self might emerge.
And senses can get super sharp, right? Heightened smells, tastes, textures.
Yes, that intensification can connect you to more primal instincts, maybe even suppressed desires or memories held in the body. Things the conscious mind filters out can come through vividly.
Time itself feels weird too. Past and future kind of collapsing into the moment of falling.
That bending of time reflects how our minds link things emotionally. Past experiences, future worries, they can all converge in that feeling of vulnerability during the fall. It shows the associative nature of our inner world.
It's interesting how sometimes you try to fight the fall, grabbing at things, trying to steer.
That resistance is telling. It often mirrors how you cope with feeling powerless in life. Do you resist change? Try to control uncertainty? Or eventually let go?
But then, sometimes, this sense of peace just washes over you, even while you're still falling. What's that about?
That eventual peace or acceptance can be really significant. It often indicates a letting go of that resistance, a recognition perhaps that the fall, however scary, is necessary, part of a process. It suggests potential growth through surrender.
Wow. Okay, so let's try to bring some of this together. We're talking about things like birth trauma, maybe, that feeling of being expelled, falling from safety.
That's one interpretation, certainly. The infant's experience of birth as a kind of fall from paradise, a sudden exposure, the sensations could resonate.
Or maybe childhood moments when support seemed to just vanish.
Yes, falling dreams can replay those early experiences of feeling dropped, literally or emotionally, when caregivers or situations felt unreliable.
And what about sexuality? Could the physical sensations connect there?
It's possible. The intense physical sensations, the rush, the tension, the letting go, can sometimes mirror erotic feelings or represent repressed sexual energy-seeking expression. It depends heavily on the individual context, of course.
And that shift from feeling like you're flying initially to then falling, does that relate to growing up?
That's a compelling idea. Like the loss of childhood omnipotence, that feeling of boundless possibility, giving way to the adult awareness of limitations, gravity, responsibility, the fall from innocence, in a sense.
Could it also be about internal conflict, like desire versus morality?
Definitely. Thinking in Freudian terms, the fall could represent the struggle between the in's desires, maybe for freedom, release, transgression, and the superego's constraints, the rules and shoulds. You're caught between impulse and control.
And deep down, maybe a fear of abandonment, losing people.
That's a very primal fear that falling can tap into. The feeling of losing connection, losing support, being left alone. It can enact those core anxieties about attachment and loss.
But maybe it's not all negative. Could falling be an opportunity?
Absolutely. By stripping away pretense, the fall can force a confrontation with our shadow aspects, the parts of ourselves we ignore or deny. Facing them can lead to greater wholeness, integration.
So it's about control versus surrender again.
Exactly. The loss of control is terrifying, but can also be liberating. It highlights that sometimes letting go is necessary for growth. You can't control everything.
That paradox again, fear and exhilaration mixed together.
It reflects deeper tensions in being human, doesn't it? Risk and reward, fear and desire, control and release.
And memory plays a big role, triggering specific events or just general feelings related to unresolved stuff.
Yes, the fall can bring specific memories to the surface, or just evoke a general climate of vulnerability tied to past conflicts or insecurities.
Could falling ever be wish fulfillment, like wanting to escape responsibility?
It's possible, yes. A wish to just let go, regress to pure sensation, escape the burdens of consciousness or expectation, a desire to just be without striving.
And falling from a great height, does that link to status, success? A fear of falling from grace?
Very often, yes. Height in dreams frequently connects to ambition, social standing, achievement. Falling from that height can symbolize anxieties about failure, losing status, public humiliation.
But dream symbols aren't always straightforward, are they? Falling can mean lots of things at once.
Exactly. Dream language uses condensation and distortion. One symbol, like falling, can carry multiple layers of personal meaning. It's rarely just one thing.
And ultimately, it can expose really fundamental insecurities, can it? About being lovable, capable, worthy.
Deep down, yes. The vulnerability of the fall can touch those core questions about our fundamental value and place in the world.
The stretched time you mentioned. Does that connect to how trauma feels? Like it lasts forever?
That's a powerful connection. The way time distorts in trauma, feeling both frozen and endless, can be mirrored in the elongated sensation of a falling dream, reflecting the lasting impact of intense experiences.
So the objects, the buildings, birds, rain, skulls, they all carry personal and maybe archetypal meaning.
Yes, both. An object might have a very specific personal association for you, but it might also tap into broader, shared cultural or archetypal symbolism.
And voices heard, the tone matters as much as the words.
Absolutely. The emotional resonance, the conditioning they represent often comes through more in the tone than the literal content.
Light and shadow again reflecting our coping mechanisms, how we deal with truth, and what's hidden.
Precisely. The dynamic interplay shows psychological processes in action.
And the clothes coming off, shedding roles, defenses, the persona.
Exactly, revealing a more core self underneath.
Heightened senses, linking body sensations to deep emotions and instincts.
Yes, bringing that visceral level of experience into awareness.
And trying to resist the fall shows our attitude towards change and uncertainty.
Our default patterns when facing the uncontrollable.
until that eventual peace signals acceptance, that the fall was maybe a necessary journey.
A transformation through acceptance, yes. The dream leading you through something you needed to experience.
So as the fall starts to slow down, that moment just before waking,
That suspension, that transition.
right, that liminal space, it feels like things can surface there. Buried feelings, desires.
It's a potent moment. The barriers between conscious and unconscious are thin. Things stirred up by the fall can begin to percolate into awareness.
Freud saw dreams as that royal road to the unconscious. Is the fall like a return journey, maybe, to a forgotten self?
That's a beautiful way to put it. A descent into the depths to potentially retrieve something lost or uncover something hidden within.
And after you wake up, fragments of the fall can linger, can't they? Subtly shaping how you feel or move.
Definitely. The emotional residue, the sensory memory, it doesn't just vanish. It can color your perceptions, influence your mood, even affect your physical posture for a while.
So waking up is an end, but maybe also a beginning. The dream experience resurfacing in waking life.
Exactly. It's a paradox. The dream ends, but its impact continues, rippling outwards.
Even your breath, right after waking, might hold traces of the fear or the peace from the fall.
It can, yes. The body remembers the intensity.
And those symbols, they don't just stay in the dream, they connect to real people, places, complex feelings.
They become lenses through which you might see your waking life differently, illuminating connections you hadn't noticed before.
The fall could actually shine a light on underlying desires that shape your choices.
It certainly can. By bringing repressed feelings or needs closer to the surface, it might reveal the hidden currents influencing your decisions.
And memory, after a dream like that, might bring back forgotten details connected to the dream's themes.
Yes, the dream can act like a retrieval cue, unlocking associated memories or sensory details linked to the core feelings of the fall, vulnerability, lost control, etc.
It feels like it could shift your perspective somehow, maybe foster a sense of connection.
Sometimes, confronting those deep fears or experiencing that sense of dissolution can paradoxically lead to a feeling of being interconnected, less isolated in your anxieties.
But you don't always wake up with answers, do you?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just leaves questions.
Often, yes. And that's okay. The dream might be more about encouraging contemplation, prompting self-reflection, rather than delivering neat solutions.
And time might feel different afterwards, reflecting that elasticity from the dream.
You might notice a shift in your perception of time, yeah. Or light and other senses might seem heightened, sharper, as if the dream cleared some internal fog.
So these falling dreams, while, yeah, often unsettling, they're really this incredibly rich symbolic landscape.
Exactly. A space for understanding our deepest fears, desires, hopes, and past experiences.
It really makes you want to reflect on your own falling dreams, doesn't it? What feelings stick around? What images?
It's a valuable practice. Paying attention to your personal dream language, the emotions, the specific symbols, they're messengers from your inner world.
So they're not just random brain static to ignore. They're potentially really valuable opportunities for self-discovery, understanding those unconscious currents.
Precisely. Not arbitrary glitches, but meaningful expressions, offering pathways to greater self-awareness if we're willing to look.
Leaves you thinking, doesn't it? That feeling of weightlessness,
Yeah.
then the pull of gravity. What might that whole sensation, that specific feeling, really be revealing about your own journey right now?
That's the question to hold on to, isn't it? Consider that moment of suspension before the pull takes over in your dreams. What does that brief weightlessness feel like, and what forces do you sense are guiding your direction at this moment in your life? Something to ponder.